They are always surrounded by bodyguards and sometimes make them live a real ordeal, from Mark Zuckerberg to Kim Jong-un, including Beyonce and Elizabeth II. Here are the most protected people in the world. Mark Zuckerberg is one of the best protected people in the world, with a team of 16 bodyguards. Indeed, the Facebook boss does not skimp on the means to ensure his own security, and the bill rises year after year. Moreover, according to an official document, the cost of his personal security in 2019 is estimated at $10 million. That is to say, a little more than 8 million euros, a sum that far exceeds the budget which is allocated to the security of other company bosses, such as Jeff Bezos, for example. And if we count the security of his family and his travels on board a private plane, the budget amounts to a little over $23 million. That is more than 19 million euros, according to the same source. However, it should be remembered that Mark Zuckerberg, who had his first bodyguard in 2011, had to hire all these men in charge of his security after receiving threats from Facebook users. Normal when you are at the heart of scandals and you lead a rather simple lifestyle. His men accompany him everywhere, including when he feels like going for a jog. Vladimir Putin is also surrounded by bodyguards, sometimes in black suits, sometimes in civilian clothes. The Russian president is protected by the FSO, the Federal Protection Service. Loyalty, discretion, and absolute secrecy are the watchwords within this powerful institution, which is also responsible for the protection of other major Russian personalities. Some of its members have even gained power, and they have become wealthy, being offered land in one of the richest regions of Russia for their good and loyal services. However, Vladimir Putin's security would not stop at bodyguard alone. His most risky appearances would be carried out by a lookalike. Oh, and by the way, if you like this video, don't forget to give us a like, to subscribe to the channel, and to activate the bell to receive all the notifications and not to miss anything of our next publications. Let's start again. Another Vladimir Ilyich Lenin, known as Lenin, is also among the most protected people in the world. Just a moment, we're talking about his remains. Lenin may have been dead for 96 years, and his remains, displayed in a mausoleum on Red Square, are still protected. Lenin, who had only one bodyguard during his lifetime, was the target of several attacks, including an assassination attempt in August 1918. But it was not until 1919, when his car, papers, and money were stolen by bandits on the outskirts of Moscow, that the father of the Russian Revolution decided to strengthen his security by hiring more bodyguards. But even in death, Lenin was the target of several attacks intended to disfigure him. Besides, how could the communist leader be preserved in this state during all this time? Well, it was thanks to the embalmers who worked daily on his remains. Without internal organs and bodily fluids, Lenin's body is subjected to very special preservation techniques that keep him looking as good as new. In addition, his skin and damaged body parts were replaced with other materials, such as plastic or kerosene. Let's go now to China to meet Xi Jinping and his bodyguards. The Chinese leader, at the head of the most populated country in the world since 2013, is surrounded by a team of many bodyguards. The latter are on the alert, looking around surrounding the car of the president, and some of them always keep a hand on the door handles of the cars, escorting him. The security of the Chinese president is provided by the Central Security Bureau of the Communist Party, an institution with immense power in China and responsible for the security of China's top officials. However, it should be remembered that the members of this institution must have avoided coups in the past, because, well, you never know. Moreover, in 2015, the Chinese president had proceeded to reshuffle the team in charge of his security, a measure he had taken to protect himself against some domestic threat and possible betrayals. After all, if you have the slightest doubt about those in charge of protecting you, it's time to change them. Recep Tayyip Erdogan is also one of the most protected presidents in the world. The strongman of Turkey enjoys a high level of security thanks to a close guard, which accompanies him in great pomp, and even snipers. The latter even travel on the roof of the presidential bus, which Erdogan sometimes uses to move around town with his wife. Moreover, the security of the Turkish president goes as far as the surveillance of his own meals, which are systematically tasted before he eats. For this purpose, there is a special laboratory within the presidential palace dedicated to the control of all food in order to avoid any poisoning. The one who is accused of delusion of grandeur even made the news in the middle of the coronavirus pandemic when he went to the parliament of Ankara, escorted by a thermal camera, just to make sure that the people he meets do not have fever and therefore are not likely to be contaminated by the coronavirus. Bodyguards, understudy, armored cars. For Kim Kardashian, all means are good to protect herself 24 hours a day and offer a personal security worthy of a head of a state. But it must be said that the star and her husband, Kanye West, do not hesitate to invest in their security and that of their entourage. Just look at the armored cars bought to protect their daughter when she goes for a drive. But it is especially after the assault she suffered in her hotel in Paris in 2016 that the reality star has done everything to offer the most reinforced security that it is. Remember, Kim Kardashian was attacked for a gang of robbers disguised as police who robbed her of the equivalent of 9 million euros in jewelry. To return safe and sound to the United States, the bimbo, the most mediatized of the planet, had to mobilize some 10 cars as well as a score of security guards. Since this incident, Kim takes her security very seriously. The star decided to reinforce her team of bodyguards by arming some of them and by hiring former Secret Service agents, and even by calling on an understudy. Let's go back to the world of crowns, more precisely to the United Kingdom. Queen Elizabeth II is one of the most protected people in the world. She is surrounded by a very experienced security service with whom she communicates through her purse. How? Well, for example, if the Queen's bag is passed from one hand to the other, it means that she wants to end a conversation. If she puts it on the floor, it means she wants to end a discussion she doesn't like. On the other hand, if it is placed on the table during a dinner party, it means she wants to end it in the next 5 minutes. However, it is not only the Queen's bag that serves as a means of communication, but also her ring. If the Queen touches it and turns it around on her finger, it means that she wants to be rescued immediately. The Queen's safety also includes the safety of the palace, of course. The Queen, who is not ready to forget that morning in July 1982 when a man broke into her room, does not hesitate to reinforce the security service at Buckingham Palace. And then, how can we not talk about the emblematic Royal Guard? The troops of Queen Elizabeth II's Guard are a symbol of the United Kingdom. Did you know that in 2017 it was a 24-year-old woman, Captain Megan Cotto, who commanded the Royal Guard troops? That's right, this young woman of Canadian origin had the honor of leading the famous changing of the Guard during the celebrations of the 150th anniversary of the founding of Canada. She became the first woman in history to lead the British Royal Guard. Providing personal security for a popular figure can be a nightmare for bodyguards. Pope Francis' security guards know all about it. The pontiff is a spontaneous and popular person, even a little too popular. He loves crowds, hugs, and handshakes, and doesn't refuse drinks. This means that his security guards have to be extra vigilant. The Italian police, the Vatican Gendarmerie, the Swiss Guard, all those in charge of the Pope's security receive increased training, also of an intense training, in order to perfectly fulfill their mission. They had to be ready to face any incident or unforeseen event. They form security cordons around the representative of the Catholic Church, which do not prevent the Pope from remaining close to the faithful and from being free to move if he wishes. We are now going to tell you about Joaquin Guzman, better known as El Chapo, who was one of the most dangerous criminals on the planet. He, as well as his family members, enjoyed personal security. However, El Chapo enjoyed greater security during his last trial. Remember, the notorious Mexican criminal had managed to regain freedom in July 2015, and it was after a rocky escape which had been made possible thanks to a tunnel of more than 1 kilometer long, while passing under the walls of the federal prison where he was held. But El Chapo was eventually captured and then extradited in 2017 to the United States. As we told you, even during his trial, El Chapo was given very high protection. The trial in New York was held under very high security. with measures that, according to some sources, had never been taken before to try other criminals. Placed in solitary confinement for the entire period of his trial, under very strict conditions, he was allowed only 1 hour of freedom per day. In addition, he was only allowed visits from his lawyers and his daughters, who were 7 years old at the time. This protection extended to jurors and witnesses, who were given new identities, while some were imprisoned in special units to ensure their protection. As for the courthouse, it was transformed into a real fortress under permanent surveillance. This is done by officers armed to the teeth and with dogs with a confidential security device. The Brooklyn Bridge was even closed for the police motorcade, which was followed by helicopters. With this unusual security arrangement, El Chapo was no longer in danger of escaping. Today, he is serving his sentence in the high-security prison of ADX Florence, one of the most secure prisons in the United States, where he will end his days. And last but not least, Kim Jong-un's personal security is no joke. The North Korean leader has at his disposal a whole battalion of bodyguards who do not let him out of their sight, and they follow him at a run wherever he goes. These men, dressed in suits and ties, even form a real protective shield around the car without license plates that carries the leader. According to a former member of the North Korean leader's bodyguard, the leader had at least 6 levels of security protection. The men in Kim Jong-un's security detail are drawn from the North Korean military elite. They are carefully selected on a number of criteria: physical appearance and fitness, martial arts skills, shooting ability, good vision, in addition to having a similar height. Of course, their families are investigated up to 2 generations. These men, who are the only citizens of the country allowed to carry firearms, are subjected to intensive training. They undergo intensive training similar to that of the Special Operations Forces. They develop their observation skills and learn everything they need to know to protect the country's leader in case of an attack. In addition to this, there are endurance tests and behavioral conditioning. That's right, when it comes to protecting Kim Jong-un, nothing should be left to chance. And finally, all electronic devices, including telephones, were banned from the events he attended. They were the most protected people in the world. So, do you know any other celebrities who are as protected as these? Leave your answers in the comments.